Our goal is to introduce this new API on event target called when. I want to talk about just the web platform integration and how our observable proposal kind of looks and feels. So we have a bunch of examples here in our main explainer, but they kind of look like this. Our goal is to introduce this new API on event target called when, and I'll actually share this in the spec. And it basically looks like this. It's called when, and it sits alongside add event listener and remove event listener. It takes an event type and then some listeners for handling the events. But the real key here is that it returns an observable. And the observable is what allows you to sort of declaratively establish this pipeline of operators that events will flow through. And so we have a bunch of examples in our GitHub repository. This is the YCG repository that show literally how this is going to work. Our goal is to be able to have an element, call .when on it, which gives you an observable that represents an unbounded stream of, in this case, click events. And then you can run things like filter and map, and then eventually subscribe to them and pass in a handler that all the events that finally make it through this handler get processed through all the operators in between here. And so this is like exactly what it looks like. We have all kinds of operators that we'll discuss here in a bit, but there's a bunch of examples here in the spec that show how you can take all the mouse move events until you get the first mouse up event. You can do really fancy things with WebSockets. Ben writes a lot of really good WebSocket examples that illustrate how using observables with other primitives on the web would work in real life, and all kinds of stuff like that. We have, so all of this, the exciting thing about these examples is that they're all live in Chrome right now. So example.com is like this super simple website. It's got a header on here. And so if I grab the element and I call .when and pass in the event name click, this gives me an observable object that represents the stream of all click events that are targeting this element. And it's lazy like observables on the web today with userland libraries. And I can subscribe to it like source.subscribe and literally just console log the pointer event. And so when I go over here and I start clicking on the header, basically I'm able to console log and process all the events that I want. And so that's like a really, really watered down simple version of kind of what we're dealing with.